OCPC method. This one, albumin estimation and calcium estimation is almost same, but little bit of difference is there. I'll tell you today. It's not a difficult topic. If you have already done the calcium class, you will know it automatically. You will get this thing automatically only. Okay. So this one is determining the serum albumin by BCG method. BCG is what? Bromocresol green method. Now BCG is a dye, is a reagent. You will be provided with a albumin kit. What? An albumin kit. You had 3 reagents in the calcium part. Here you will have the 2 reagents. One buffer reagent and one albumin standard. Okay. Okay, now I'll tell you the principle. What is the principle? Principle is very, very important, as you all know. Principle is what? Albumin binds with the BCG dye or the BCG reagent in a buffer medium. In what medium? In buffer medium. Okay. The albumin present in the sample binds with the BCG in buffer medium to give a green colored complex. What complex? Green colored complex. Okay. Now the very important line, the next line is very, very important. The intensity of the color of the complex is directly proportional to what? Is directly proportional to the amount of albumin that is present in the given sample. Okay, clear? This much clear? What is the principle then? Albumin binds with the BCG complex and produces in buffer medium and produces a green colored complex. The intensity of the green color is directly proportional to the amount of albumin that is present in the sample. Clear, all of you? Okay. Now the formula, what is the formula? Very, very simple. Albumin of the sample plus the BCG reacted in buffered medium gave you what? Green albumin BCG complex. Okay? Clear? Okay. Now we will do the procedure. Else you all know materials required and everything. You all can write all of that. You all know what are the materials required to perform a practical, right? No? You can write all of that. Okay. Now the procedure part. I already told you in the albumin kit you will be given with 2 reagents. L1 is the BCG reagent and L2 is the albumin standard. Okay. BCG reagent you have and albumin standard you have. Now you have to perform the experiment. Now how will you do it? You already know, you have performed so many experiments. You have done the calcium estimation class also. How do you perform? You take 3 test tubes, right? Blank, standard and test, right? Simple. Now blank, standard and test. You will put the L1, that is the BCG, and the BCG reagent in 1 ml, 1 ml, 1 ml equally in all the 3 test tubes. Simple? Clear? Okay. L1 you put in a 1 ml, 1 ml, 1 ml in blank, standard and test. Now distilled water we always use for what? Blank. We always use distilled water for blank. Now 10 microliter of distilled water in the blank and albumin standard 10 microliter in the standard, and sample that you will be given 10 microliter of the sample in what? Test. Alright? Clear, all of you? Clear, or should I repeat? Repeat? Okay. You will have 3 test tubes, right? You know how to do 3 test tubes. You did the calcium class. Blank, standard and test. Alright? You already have the BCG reagent and the albumin standard that is given to you. Okay, and you have the sample. Alright? So L1 of the BCG reagent, you will put in all the 3 test tubes, 1 ml, 1 ml, 1 ml. Right? And distilled water, you will always do blank with distilled water. 10 microliter of distilled water in blank. Alright? And L2, albumin standard, you have the standard. Albumin standard L2, you will put in the standard test tube 10 microliter. Simple. And the sample which you have, 10 microliter of the sample in the test tube. Alright? Clear? Okay. Now you have done all these things. You have done the mix and match, and you will mix all the test tubes and you will wait for how many minutes? 5 minutes. Okay? 5 minutes you will wait, and then you will measure the optical density, you measure the absorbance in colorimeter. Right? Simple? Okay. Mix for 5 minutes and measure the absorbance of standard and test against the blank in a colorimeter at what wavelength? 630 wavelength, 630 nanometer. Alright? Alright, clear? Okay. Clear or not? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Clear? Now the calculation part, we have done the procedure, we know how we waited for 5 minutes. Now we will do what? We will measure the standard and the test. Also the blank, but while performing, you only perform the standard and the test. Blank you don't have to perform. Alright, blank is only for the writing purpose. While you perform, you only perform what? Standard and the test. Okay. Now you measure the absorbance of the standard and you measure the absorbance of the test, and you divide the absorbance of the test by absorbance of the standard multiplied by 4, and you will get the serum albumin value of the given sample. Clear? Clear all of you? Say no, yes or no loudly. Okay, clear, or should I repeat once again? No need? Done? Okay. Okay, clear? Now you have the serum value of albumin of the given sample. Okay, clear? No? Now we can move to the clinical part. Okay, we'll move to the clinical. Now you have a value. Suppose you have 4 gram per dl. Alright, you have 4 gram per dl. Now what is the normal value of albumin in our body? 3.5 to 4.5 gram per dl. This is the normal albumin value of our body. Okay, anything less than that, what we will call? Hypoalbuminemia. Alright. And anything more than that? Hyperalbuminemia. Alright, simple. Now, I think you all have the basic understanding of plasma proteins and albumin, functions of albumin. You already read in physiology. You have basic understanding, no? Okay. So, nothing, no more deep conversations needed. I'll just do the briefing so that you understand the clinical part. You find it a bit more relatable. I'll give you a brief explanation. Alright, you already know, and I'll just repeat brief important topic points. Now, plasma protein, you all know how many types of plasma protein are there? 3 types of albumin, globulin and fibrinogen. Right. Now albumin is the most abundant plasma protein in our body. Almost 50% is albumin. Alright. Now where is this albumin produced in our body? Liver, hepatocytes, liver, yes. And albumin is also large molecular size. It has large molecular size and it is low in concentration. So it cannot cross the capillary level. No, it cannot cross the capillary level. And so hence what is the main important function of albumin that it does in our body? For this property, for this, what? Insulin? Osmotic pressure, yes. It maintains the capillary osmotic pressure. Yes, very, very important. Albumin is very important for maintaining the capillary osmotic pressure in our body. Because of its large size, it cannot cross the capillary level. So what does it do? How does it maintain that balance? How does it maintain that pressure? How does it do? Okay, since albumin cannot cross the capillary level, it sits inside the capillary level, and because of its large size, what it does, it pulls water from the interstitial tissues into the capillary system. No? You remember? No, it does it like that, no? It pulls water from the interstitial fluid into the capillary system, especially the venous part of the capillary system, and that's how it maintains the water balance between the tissue compartment and the capillary compartment. Understood? Understood? You will read it in detail in physiology. No, I'm just giving you the brief idea so that you know the functions. Okay? Okay. So what does it do? It sits inside the capillary system and it draws fluid from the tissue compartment, from the interstitial cells into the capillary, venous part of the capillary system, and that's how it maintains the water balance, the capillary osmotic pressure. That's how it balances it. Now suppose someone has low albumin in their body, what will happen? Use your brains using this logic. Think what will happen if someone has less albumin, less protein in their body. Edema. How does this edema occur? How does this edema occur? How this manifestation of edema you will see in a person of hypoalbuminemia? What will how? Because there is low albumin. No, low albumin fluid is not getting pulled from the interstitial cells. Accumulation of fluid in the interstitial cells will manifest as edema. Simple. Does edema occur? Because there is low albumin in our body, albumin cannot pull water from the interstitial cells into the capillary system, and there is accumulation of fluid in the interstitial system or the tissue system, and there is manifestation of edema. Alright? Logical enough? You understood? Okay. Now we will see a person with edema. We can think about its causes because of hypoalbuminemia. Alright? It will manifest as edema. Now this is the most important function you all know, maintaining the capillary osmotic pressure. Second important function, transport of medicines, drugs, free fatty acids, bilirubin, all these things, transportation. It binds with calcium, it helps in calcium transportation, calcium absorbance, right? You read in the calcium topic, no? Calcium binds with albumin. With what protein does calcium bind in our body? Albumin. No, it helps in calcium transportation, free fatty acid transportation. Drugs, like what drugs? Aspirin. No, aspirin. Aspirin, it helps in transportation of drugs like aspirin, all right, and free fatty acids, bilirubin, all this transportative function it does. And what else function? Protein, what else function can protein do to our body? Nutritive functions. We all need protein in our diet, don't we? Don't we all need protein in our diet? So what function? Nutritive function, right? Nutritive function. So these are the three or like most important functions of albumin that it does to our body. Clear? Okay. Now how this edema and maintenance of the osmotic pressure affect or manifest as edema? No. Now we will know the causes of hypoalbuminemia for your clinical purpose. No. You should know, because you're studying the albumin topic, you should know the causes of hypo and hyperalbuminemia, right? You all know the functions, you know the physiology behind it. Read more about it, okay? Read more about albumin globulin ratio. You all know about albumin globulin ratio? I'm not mentioning it over here because it is only the albumin topic. That's why I'm not mentioning it. You read up more about it, okay? Homework, all of you. Read. This is physiology topic, but still you read. Hypoalbuminemia. Now suppose, where was this albumin getting produced in our body? Liver. So any problem in liver will result in what? Less albumin production, hypoalbuminemia, right? So any liver disease, decreased synthesis in cases of any liver disease, enough albumin is not getting produced, hypoalbuminemia. That's why cirrhosis patient, they often come as complaints of edema in OPD. No, they have edema, they have periorbital edema, they have pedal edema. No, they have edema, they will come as edema. So you need to think about the causes when you see a patient with edema. What can be the causes if a patient comes with edema? There can be hepatic causes, there can be renal causes, there can be hypovolumic causes, or there can be nutritive causes in children like kwashiorkor. They also manifest as edema, right? In protein deficiency, protein wasting diseases like that. No? So in liver diseases, there is less albumin production because the liver is not functioning well. So there can be hypoalbuminemia, right? In malnutrition, the person is malnutrition. That person is not getting enough protein or albumin through diet. So that person is deficient of albumin. Again, hypoalbuminemia. No? Malabsorption. Protein or albumin is not getting enough absorbed in our gut. So malabsorption of albumin. Again, hypoalbuminemia, right? Logical enough? You understood? Okay. Now increased albumin loss. Now there is enough albumin production in our body, but there is increased loss also. The body cannot hold albumin enough so that the balance can be maintained or the functions can be restored. So in what cases can be enough loss of albumin in our body? Any renal cause. No, the kidneys aren't functioning, the kidneys aren't operating, the kidneys aren't doing their job. The glomerular filtration does what? It filters the albumin in our body. But if the glomerulus function only gets destroyed, or the glomerulus does not function, does not do their job, can they filter the albumin? Or they'll excrete the albumin? No, they'll excrete. There'll be enough albumin loss, there'll be more albumin loss, there'll be hypoalbuminemia in those cases, right? Because there is less glomerular function. No? In nephrotic syndrome or in any CKD patients, you will often hear what? You will often hear the person will go to a nephrologist and he will complain what? Of frothy urine. You will complain of frothy urine. He will say, I go to the washroom and come back. When I use flush, I see a lot of froth in my urine. What is that froth? That froth is proteinuria. That froth is protein. That the nephrologist will suggest, oh, you get your urine checkup done. You get your albumin, urine protein routine done. And then they will see albuminemia in their, proteinemia in the protein. So what is that protein that is getting excreted in CKD patients? Albumin. And then the nephrologist will think, oh no, this person has disease, anything wrong with the kidney, and then they will evaluate. So first it will start from proteinuria, frothy urine. They will have more albumin excreted with urine, within the urine, or through urine, all right? So in kidney, nephrotic syndrome, CKD or any AKI, there will be protein loss, all right? In GI, in protein enteropathy, all right? In protein enteropathy, in such cases like Crohn's disease or IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, all these things, any malabsorption diseases, Crohn's and all, they are ultimately malabsorption diseases, right? So in all these diseases, what happens? What happens? As I said, malabsorption. in any GI disease, any irritable GI disease or any idiopathic GI disease or any malabsorptive GI disease, the GI will not able to absorb the nutrients that is been given in our diet through our body, right? So there will be what? There will be protein losing enteropathy. The GI is not able to absorb enough protein in such scenarios like Crohn's or interstitial lymphoma or any malabsorption diseases. No, Spurt's disease, you will read all these things, disease in medicine more clearly when you reach final year, all these things, okay? Protein losing enteropathy, all these diseases, all right? Then in cases of burns or sepsis, what happens in burns and sepsis? You see burn patients, no, you will see a lot of edema in the body. Now how come burn patients have a lot of edema? How do we treat burn patients? We give fluid therapy, we give lots of fluid to that patient. Now what happens in burns? In burns, the capillary permeability of albumin is increased. The albumin which was not able to cross the capillary level in normal conditions, in cases of burns, the capillary permeability is increased and the albumin will easily cross the capillary line. No? No? And then they will not do their functioning because they have crossed the capillary line. The capillary permeability is increased in cases of burns and sepsis and in septic shock and all these things cases. No? So there will be hypoalbuminemia. Are you understanding all this or not? Huh? Loudly. Okay. So in cases capillary permeability is increased, so there is more albumin loss. Okay. And increased volume. All right. Now in increased volume, in case of increased, what happens in increased volume? Hemoconcentration happens. What is hemoconcentration? Suppose we have albumin and fluid in our body. Okay. Now there is lot of fluid that is increased in our body, but the albumin concentration remains same. Right? The albumin concentration remains same. So what happens? Hemoconcentration happens. Hemoconcentration, hemodilution happens. No, for hemoconcentration, hyperalbuminemia can happen because the volume is reduced. But if fluid volume is increased in our body, hemodilution will happen. No, because the albumin is static. The amount of albumin that is present in our body remains constant, but the amount of fluid is increased. So the ratio of the protein and the fluid is increased, right? So there will be what? In respect to the fluid, there will be what? There will be less albumin in our body. No? No? The amount of albumin is same, but the fluid is increased. So it can manifest as hypoalbuminemia. Okay, it can, but it is not necessarily hypoalbuminemia, but it can manifest as hypoalbuminemia if there is lot of fluid in our body, because lots of fluid, the albumin also cannot draw more and more. It has also got its limits. No, albumin concentration has to increase if fluid concentration is increased to maintain the function properly, to keep on doing its functioning properly. No, if we increase the fluid in our body, we also have to increase the albumin concentration, right? Otherwise, how it is going to maintain the balance? How it is going to maintain the pressure? No. Because the fluid is increased and the albumin concentration remains same, so there is a disbalance and it can manifest as edema or hypoalbuminemia in our body. Okay, because of hemodilution. All right. Increased volume. Increased volume. In which cases can we see increased volume? Conditions like increased volume. Excessive fluid therapy, excessive IV fluid therapy. You are giving IV fluid to patients, fluid after fluid for treating certain conditions. No, so in that case it may occur. Or in cases of pregnancy, physiological conditions like pregnancy. Pregnancy is a hyper fluid state already, hyperplasmatic state. In pregnancy, all the fluids in our body naturally gets increased. No? So in pregnancy also hypoalbuminemia can occur. No? Okay. Now we have done with the hypoalbuminemia part. Now hyperalbuminemia is not pathological, because if we have more protein in our body, it's not toxic, it's not harmful, right? Right? It will only do nutritive good to our body. It will only nourish our body. Hyperalbuminemia is not bad unless and until it is causing any symptoms. It is not pathological, it is not toxic. But what are the causes that can actually lead to hyperalbuminemia? Less fluid. Here it was more fluid, which was causing hypo. Here it is less fluid, which is causing hyper. What is happening over here? Hemoconcentration is happening. Less fluid compared to more albumin. Hemoconcentration. Right? Clear? Yes. Okay. So this is happening. But it is not a pathological condition that you should care about. But you should know the reason. Because of hemoconcentration, there can be hyperalbuminemia in cases of dehydration or less fluid in our body because of all these states. All right. So these are estimation of albumin with the clinical portion in a nutshell. Did you understand? You have any doubt? Ask if you have any doubt. What? Hemodilution part. Okay. Hemodilution part was taking part over what? Which area? This one, increased volume. Increased volume. You have 4 gram per dl albumin in your body. And you have 5 liters of blood in your body along with water and everything. Okay. Now suppose what happens. Now you have, sorry, not you. Now suppose someone has dengue. What is the treatment of dengue? Excessive fluid therapy. Excessive fluid therapy. Crystalloids or lingaractate or NS, all these fluids are excessively given to a person suffering from dengue. All right. Or any condition in which excessive fluid therapy is needed. So what happens? The concentration of fluid in our body increases. No, it will increase. But 4 grams, suppose 4 grams of albumin remains constant. But 5 liters of water and blood is not constant. It has increased to 6 or 7 liters. No? So what happened? The blood has got diluted, no? Because of the fluid hemodilution. The blood has got diluted. But the amount of albumin is still constant. So if you do not have enough albumin added to that, will it be able to do it function adequately? No, right? It can manifest with hypoalbuminemia, not necessarily. Its values must not go down, but it can manifest as hypoalbuminemia because why? Because of hemodilution, because of excessive fluid therapy, because there is lots of fluid in your body compared to the protein. All right, your blood has become diluted. Hemodilution. You need to have 5 liters of blood. Because of hemodilution, your blood has increased to what? Your fluid has increased to what? 10 liters suppose. Hemodilution, blood got dilated, but the amount of protein is same. So amount of protein got decreased, no, with compared to the fluid. So it can manifest as hypoalbuminemia, right? Simple, understood? Okay. Okay, so you proceed to the lab, you start performing the experiment. Okay?
This is BCG. Serum.